you want to make your mark and you want to raise to that level of what I call a megapreneur, which is somebody that operates in the upper 3 to 5% of any industry that you do, then learn how to influence people. Put yourself in a situation where you're learning, where you're always close to the fire. Nobody's going to do it unless I do it. Get rid of that. Dispel that belief. Do it with people. Earth is the biggest magnet that we know. It's attracting everything to it without question, everything to it. And so if it's made of the same stuff as we are, doesn't it make sense that if we utilize and we influence ourselves to function like a magnet, then the same thing will happen? And it really does.
What one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs or now megapreneurs watching and listening today?
The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is right now.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show. I'm your host, Athin Cassiotis, and today I have an awesome guest. His name is Joseph McClendon III, and he's a renowned neuropsychologist and ultimate performance specialist with a client list that includes Academy Award winners, Olympic athletes, Grammy winners, and billionaire business figures. And for the last 40 years, he's spoken live to over 6 million people around the world, working alongside the likes of Les Brown, Tony Robbins, and Russell Brunson, to name a few, regularly coaching audiences of over 10,000. A New York Times bestselling author, Joseph's application of neuroscience to personal growth has earned him invitations to speak for institutions like Harvard University, in addition to teaching at the University of California, Los Angeles. And his life's work has been developing the brain science system known as neuroencoding, which is the process for programming the mind and body to default to their best, no matter the circumstance or goal. And Joseph is the founder of the Neuroencoding Institute, where he and his faculty certify others in the neuroencoding methods and equip them with tools and processes needed to help themselves and others default to their very best. Welcome, Joseph, and thank you for being on the Business Growth Show.
Athin, thank you so much. I'm so proud and so honored to be here with you. And as we were talking a little bit before the show started, you're in one of my favorite places on the planet.
I love it. Yes. And it was awesome to have you here recently in Sydney, where I'm from, and, your lovely A Factor event. And it's an honor as well, to have you on here. And, you've impacted me multiple ways there and at UPW, among many other ways. So let's get into it. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing show for everyone watching and listening today. And you are a successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, just introduce yourself by telling us a little bit more about you and your journey.
Yeah, well, I actually call myself a megapreneur, and it's a word that I made up, and I'll share with you what that means here in a second. And I started my journey and doing what I do, and that means evolving to where I am, right, as a coach and a mentor and all those things, because somebody did that for me at a very, very low point in my life. I was homeless. I became homeless because at 17 and a half years old, 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin in America. And it left me devastated. And I always say that it wasn't just what they did to me, Athin. It was what they said to me that implanted in my brain my own self-worth, went in the toilet, my own beliefs about what I could, should, would, and and all those things went away. And as a result, I became homeless. I wound up living in a cardboard box in an old drive-in theater. And what changed my life was somebody that I didn't know. It was a kind person, gave me a book called Think and Grow Rich. And he, matter of fact, made me read it. It was against my, I didn't want to, I didn't think it was something I needed at that time. But I read the book and the lights came on. And it started to realize that I could make a difference in my own life. I could change how I think, and I could change my position in life. I could change all of those things. And I read the book, and I started to get results very, very quickly. And I always say to people, a lot of people read the book. It's one of the most famous and most in the all-time great personal development books in history. It was written in 1937, I believe. 1936. And but I always ask people that read the book, did you do what the book said? And most people don't. Most people read it. It's a great book and it's great suggestions and they let it stick in their mind. But it had some very specific things to do in the book. And I was desperate, so I did them and I started to produce results very, very quickly. But I share that with you because when I went back to the gentleman that gave me the book to thank him, and I told him, listen, you've changed my life. How can I repay you? Because that's the way I was raised. And what he said to me was, he goes, Joseph, you repay me by doing the same thing that I've done for you. for as many people as you can for the rest of your life. I was 19 at that time, and it didn't, really register with me as much, but that's why I do what I do. And I made that promise to him, and I started on that journey to change my own life, but then I also started to recognize that I could help other people as well. And started as I actually first started studying psychology. And I always tell people that if a psychologist tells you that the biggest reason and the bottom line reason that they're studying psychology is so they can help other people, there's an underlying. It's so we can help ourselves. It's so that we can get out of our own minds. And so from there, I started coaching and started speaking and things like that. And as you said before, I've had the privilege of working with some pretty amazing people, and I learn a lot as well.
Yeah, amazing story, and shows where you came from, right? It wasn't handed to you or anything like that, and you've built yourself and you took the action, which is the most important thing there. And the key thing you said was around the mindset side, right? Of that change there. And I guess let's just start firstly on. I'd love for you to share why people do things and don't do things, right? In their life as well, and how that impacts us.
Yeah, and that's really important. That's a great question, because it's really important from a foundational standpoint, Athin, to help people understand just that, what makes us do what we do. I always say how we function as human beings. And when you understand that, then you can never go, why did I do this? And as you know, one of the core values of the Neuroencoding Institute, or what I teach, is simplicity. Matter of fact, we say assassinate complexity. My friend Tony Robbins always says that complexity is the enemy of execution. And I just speaking to him just a couple of days ago, and I said, I added to that. And that is, if complexity is the enemy of execution, then simplicity is the ambassador of activity. And what that means is that, and it's the ally of activity. If you make things simple enough, then people go, okay, well, I can get that. So to simplify how we function as human beings is, it's always, not some of the time, not most of the time, but all the time, whatever we think will cause us to feel a certain way. It's always that way. Your thoughts produce feelings, and then those feelings will influence your actions and activities that you take, and your actions and activities will influence what you get in your life. So I always say that it's think, feel, do, have. So if somebody goes, why did I screw up this way? And or why did I succeed this way? Why did somebody else? It always starts this, because that's what we were thinking. It's that we're thinking in that moment. And the more that you think it, the more you'll feel it. The more you feel it, the more you'll do it. The more you do it, you'll have it. And so if it comes down to it, whenever I coach anybody, I work with anybody, is let's just go in there and let's take a look at, you mentioned something earlier, you said a mindset. And mindset is great, and it is necessary. But the question is, what makes the mindset? And what is a mindset? A mindset is a set of thoughts about a specific thing or situation or circumstance. But what makes that, and what makes us have those thoughts? And because if you know what they are, and by the way, most of us don't know. We look at somebody that has what we don't want, and I use things like making money or losing weight, or any of those things that are kind of low-hanging fruit because everybody can relate to that. You go, okay, well, why is this person successful? And what is their mindset? Okay. And even if you know what that is, how do you instill it in yourself? And that's the rub. That's the difference. And so rather than mindset, I use the term psychology. Your psychology are very, very simple. Again, simplicity. Your psychology are the consistent conscious and unconscious thinking or thoughts that we have about ourselves first, about other people, and then about our environment, the world around us, the way that we live. And so ourselves first. So if you have an identity, if you have a set of thoughts or beliefs about yourself that you're not good enough, if you're not smart enough, or you're too black, or you're too white, or you're whatever, then that's your thinking, because thinking is just images and words, and that's your thinking. And it's the consistent thinking, like the operating system on your phone, and it causes you to feel a certain way, and then however you feel will cause you what you to do. And so one of the things, as you know, at the A Factor, we help people get a brand new identity about themselves, a powerful identity about themselves first, because that will influence how you feel about other people, how you think about other people, and the world around you as well. So long answer to your question, but simply put, it is simply think, feel, do, have. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah, love that. Great answer. And I love the identity piece at the end, because especially
Yeah,
if someone's in a transitional phase, right, or going to that next level, they have to have the identity that's going to allow them to grow into that, right? And then the psychology that supports that as well, right? Um,
absolutely. 'Cause
yeah,
you can know what to do, but we don't always do what we know. We rarely do what we know. And so when you start to change your thought process, your psychology, and that's not just the only thing, you know that, then you start to change how you access those things that you know, how you access the resources that you already have.
yeah, love that. So awesome. And I know a big thing at the A Factor Weekly recently, the event was magnetism, right? And it's a different way of putting it than manifestation of what a lot of people would say as a word. And I really loved the concept, right, of magnetism and everything like that. And without stealing your thunder, I'd love for you to go into like why magnetism is so important and how we can, I guess, access that, right, to attract things to us in our life and our business. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. First off, I will say this. I, as you stated earlier, I taught at UCLA for several years, and I taught to engineers and managers, some of the smartest and very meticulous and intelligent people that I know. And this was back before the internet, believe it or not. And so I had to, everything that I talked about, I had to have proof. And so I put science first in terms of education. Let's go with what is scientifically proven. And that way we have that to fall back on as a foundation. And so the science of, because as you said, a lot of people talk about manifestation and the laws of attraction and things like that. And those are all very real, and they're only part of the game. As a matter of fact, the laws of attraction and the laws of manifestation are only two of the 21 immutable laws of magnetism. And so when I use the term magnetism, it is exactly that. We as human beings are, everything is made of the same three things. We're made of electrons, protons, and neutrons. And those are the same things that a magnet is made of, and that's what the Earth is made of. And the Earth is the biggest magnet that we know. It's attracting everything to it, without question, everything to it. And so if it's made of the same stuff as we are, doesn't it make sense that if we utilize and we influence ourselves to function like a magnet, then the same thing will happen? And it really does. And the fundamentals of it are this, that electricity, if you want to make a magnet, you take steel or iron and you bombard it with electrons, and that thing will become a magnet. But here's what it attracts the most: other magnets. It'll attract steel and things like that. But if you put a magnet down here and you put steel down here, the steel is not going to go towards the magnet unless you get it close enough till it feels its influence and pulls it towards it. But if you don't, then that steel is just going to sit where it is. The magnet is constantly, attracting stuff to it. So you can be attracting things to you: money, health, happiness, relationships, and things like that. But if you got psychology that's going on, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not lucky, or any of that stuff that's going on, you'll literally push it away. You've seen me do the demonstration. If you flip a magnet over, it'll reverse the polarity and it'll push it away. So as human beings, as you know now, there's an absolute process that we can magnetize ourselves, turn ourselves into a bigger magnet by how we think, which will cause us to feel a certain way, which will cause our electromagnetic energy go out. And I say this is a podcast, and if you're watching me, I'll just put it this way. I'll ask everybody that's listening, have you ever been sitting in your car and you feel somebody looking at you? And you look over and there they are looking at you. Of course, all of us. Or vice versa, you're sitting in your car, windows are rolled up, and you maybe see an interesting person or attractive person or whatever. You see that person and they feel you looking at them, and they look over. And that is evidence. We all have that experience. And other things, you think about somebody, the phone rings, it's them. And that is evidence that there are unseen forces that are going on, though that's magnetism. Because here's what happens. When you put your attention and intention on somebody else, that means you're thinking about somebody else. And I only use people as an example, but it's synonymous with any and everything on the planet because we're all made of the same stuff. But for this example, I'm going to use people. When you put your attention and intention on somebody, four very important things happen. Number one, because you get curious and your attention is over there, your electromagnetic energy goes up. See, our energy goes up, our electricity grows when we are positive and when we are excited about something. And if we put our attention on that, then we get excited about that, whether it's curiosity or whatever, mild or otherwise. The second thing that happens, because your electromagnetic energy grows, and if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and look up Carillion photography. You will see it. There's a video that you can see that the electromagnetic energy around the human being ebbs and flows with our attitude and with our emotion. And so the first thing that happens is your electromagnetic energy grows. The second thing that happens is they feel it, or it feels it. And the third thing that happens, because they feel it, then guess what? They become curious. Even unconsciously, they go, well, what is that? Or, and I'm exaggerating it now, but then they get that. So guess what happens when that happens? Their electromagnetic energy grows. And just like I said, the fourth thing is magnets are attracted to each other. And that's why we're drawn towards each other. That's why you look at each other. But watch this. And so that's magnetism in that way. Well, the same thing works for money and cars and houses and happiness and anything like that. But watch this. What happens when we get caught looking at that person? What happens to either you or them when we catch each other looking at each other? We always look away. And why do we look away? We look away because of fear of rejection. What are they going to think about me? Or they're going to think I'm a creep or whatever, whatever goes on. And as soon as that happens, you flip the magnet over, the polarity changes, and you push them away. You disconnect it. And so with human beings, like I said, think, feel, do, have. If you want something, but then there's a part of you that's going, I don't deserve it. There's a part of you going, this is a bunch of crap. Or there's a part of you that's doing that. Then you're literally pushing it away. And so magnetism is a very, very real thing. And as you know, there's processes that, as a matter of fact, I'll share with you. I was just talking to a gentleman this morning, and was it Australia that we did this? Yes, you were in the seminar when the lady, well, I was talking to a gentleman this morning that was at another A Factor earlier. And matter of fact, I mentioned it to you guys from the stage. It was in Amsterdam, and he did the A Factor, and he, as you know, the exercise of writing things down and drawing a picture of what you want and all the mechanics of doing that. And the thing that he wanted was, and he'd never done this before, was he wanted to write and produce a blockbuster movie. And I think we showed it to you there. We showed you his process. We showed you his exercise. We showed you everything that he did. Well, I just did a podcast with him this morning. He has the #1 film in the Netherlands right now. That he never wrote, produced anything like that. And he also, it's in the high double digits on Amazon as well. And so, and as you know, you remember the lady at your event who she wrote down those numbers that I said, and I'm listen, I'm going to say this because I feel a little crazy saying this, but because it means people might think that I'm saying, okay, go do this and you'll go win the lottery. But you saw it, that lady put those numbers down, and they were not numbers that I'm saying go win the lottery. I just wrote some numbers on the board as another exercise, and she used those numbers. I think she won like $70 or $80 or something like that. So.
Yeah, definitely. It was an amazing event. What an answer, right? And so powerful about the area of magnetism. And I can definitely confirm, she just put there and said, I won some money with just putting some random numbers on there, and the power of that. And same with me, like, I did the exercise and all of a sudden started attracting things to me, right? During the event. And it starts to become normal, right? When you do the right things.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. It starts to become normal. I never tell people that if you do this, I'm going to promise you that you're going to get whatever you want when you want. I can't say that. I will say that it stacks the deck in your favor, and you become more, like you said, normalized to it. This is the way that you go. Luck is manufactured. It truly is. All of us know people that the ball always seems to bounce in their favor. They always get lucky and things like that. Well, is it possible that they are knowingly or unknowingly doing something that is causing that to happen? I would err on that side to go further faster.
Yeah, definitely. Really, really powerful. I want to switch it up just slightly and just talk about events with you, Joseph, because you've spoken, alongside Tony, your own events, tens of thousands of people and that, which is amazing. I'm a speaker myself. I'm doing events. There's a lot of other people, obviously, that are listening to this that are speakers or wanting to be speakers. What tips can you give for people that are wanting to speak, that want to connect and influence people in an audience so they can have a massive impact like what you've done?
I would, first off, that Last thing that you said is what I encourage people to do, and that is to influence people. Don't be just a speaker. Don't be just a facilitator or somebody that teaches. That's all great. It's all valuable. And if you want to make your mark and you want to raise to that level of what I call a megapreneur, which is somebody that operates in the upper 3 to 5% of any industry that you do, then learn how to influence people. Influence people and cause them these three things. Number one, to feel like they are a part of you and that you're connected to them. Connection is the most important thing. You know, I've been, as you said, I've been working with Tony for, gosh, 3.5 decades now. And we just did a event. It was a virtual event, but there were 60,000 people. I think it was the largest Zoom event ever, all over the world. And I've held that position, not because I'm so cute, because I'm so funny, or because I'm a good speaker. At the risk of sounding arrogant, I've held that position because there's a process, and it's what we teach at the Institute. The process of being able to, before you hit that stage, do what I said earlier, magnetize that audience. See, as arrogant as this is going to sound, there is not one audience, and I've been in front of some tough ones, that within a matter of minutes, I'm going to have a meeting out of my hand. And again, it's not because I'm so special. It's because I have a system, I have a process. And the very first thing is always to connect. The second thing is to cause them to, as you're connecting with them, magnetize them to cause them to move towards you. And again, there's a system in being able to do that, to move towards you, because we've all seen it. You know, you're in an audience where people are, you know, checked out and that kind of thing. It's not going to be that way if you influence people and cause them to move towards you. And the third thing is to make sure that going in there, you know what they want at the basic level, at the core level, because then you can speak to it. And then all those things, when you're connecting with them, all those things, then you can speak to it. And we have something called the influence model. There's several of them. But from the time, out of matter of fact, before you walk on stage, if you have, it's not a ritual, it's a process that you do. And you go into that process, by the time you hit the stage, you're already glowing and they're already curious and they're already set up for you to be able to influence them. And the questions that you ask and the stories that you tell and the way that you tell those stories, and they're always in a specific order, if you will, it makes you different, it makes you unique, and it makes you valuable to anybody. So you can walk into any kind of situation, even kids, and they're the worst, high school and things like that. You can walk in that situation, and again, you stack the deck in your favor of being able to do that and cause them to you know, I learned this definition a while ago. A presenter or an influencer is a leader, and a leader, I didn't make this definition up. I got this from Colin Powell years ago. As a matter of fact, he's on the back of my first book. General Colin Powell. And what he said was, he said, a leader is somebody who influences other people is a leader with a vision that influences other people to willingly take on that vision, make it their own, and bring it to fruition. What does that mean? Before you go on a stage, what is your vision? What is your vision for those people? And the answer is what they want. Like I said, always find out what they want first. Otherwise, you're up there and you're assuming that they're here because they're watching you. But if you connect with them and you know what they want, and remember this, if you don't know what they want, and especially if you don't ask them what they want, which is part of the influence model, then on some level, they know you don't know. And they'll feel like you're trying to get them to do something for you and not for them. And that doesn't feel good. So if you do your homework, you find out what they want, and you come onto the stage or you go wherever you're speaking, and you go through this process, then they know and they're already connected to you. And then you just go through the steps and the content that you're going to do, now they're open to it. You can move them in a position where you open them up and now they want it, they're open to it, and that way you've influenced them. And then the last piece of it is you always want them to walk away, A, wanting more, and then B, walk away gonna do something. Because so what if you influenced them there and you impacted them there? What the results that they get are gonna be when they leave you, when they're away.
Yeah, I love that. So much gold that you just shared in that area there. And it's just that connection part and magnetizing area, right? And what they want. I love that. That was, very powerful. Thanks for sharing, Joseph. And I guess, you know, you've done a lot of stuff with Tony, right? Tony Robbins, and for many decades, like you said. I want to talk about it just from a partnering angle very quickly, right? Because a lot of people think they want to do things themselves, whereas, you know, I'm more of the thing where you can do more with others and create a bigger impact and things like that. So what's it like, you know, to partner with him, or generally with you, of how you partner with people so that you can go out there and impact more?
Yeah, there's a saying, and I don't know who said it, but I'll repeat it. And that is that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And so this isn't taking away anything away from the grind and doing things on your own. You can do that. It's just the harder way. And when you get to the top of the mountain, you're by yourself and you don't have longevity. And so my experience, not just with Tony, but as you mentioned, Les Brown and Jay Abraham, and a lot of my friends that are, let's just say, well-known and very successful, come down to, I said this before, I'm valuable to them because they're valuable to me. I'm valuable to them because I can learn something from them, but I bring something to the table. And even if that is just connection, don't undervalue connection. And so partnering with somebody, to me, create that connection, create that impact that you have with other people, so that they want to be around you as much as you want to be around them. Because nowadays, you know, we hear about networking, which is still, none of this stuff is bad. This is just taken to the megapreneur level. Networking is great, and most people go to network so they can get something, so that they can learn something from somebody else, so I can, you know, find out what this person can do for me. And that stuff, it's great, but nobody really likes that. You don't like going somewhere going, oh, this person is just using me. This person, you know, at that core level. And you also don't like to live in that desperation, because that's flipping the magnet over and you're pushing people away again. So instead, figure out what is valuable that you have to offer people, and go with that type of heart, with that type of attitude, go with that type of intention. And again, this is not crystals and rainbows and unicorns. Energy is a very real thing. It really is. People feel you. We've all had situations where we walk into the room and people notice that we walk in a room. We've also had situations where we walk in a room and people don't even could care less. They don't notice you're there. It's not them, it's you. And so when you learn how to not just harness that, but learn how to ebb it and flow it and grow it, and then when you go somewhere and you go with that type of intentional heart that I'm here to give, I'm here to share, I'm here to offer something of value first, then people will flock to your door. People will flock to you, and people want to be around you. And so you mentioned my partnership with Tony. Tony's been my business partner for over 3 decades now. We had the opportunity at that UPW we just did, to sit for about 3 hours, which is longer than we've had for many, many years, because both of us are very busy. We're on other ends of the state, or the other ends of the country, and that kind of thing. And that was one of the things, as we talked about the longevity of what we do, what we have, is because, you know, we have something that is valuable to people. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to be what I call wealthy. And wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And when you can offer people content, at the very least, content that solves those problems, then everybody wants it. You get to write your own ticket.
Yeah, amazing. Love that. What a great way of the partnering and the energy, you know, and giving and adding value and everything like that. So amazing, Joseph. And I guess, yeah, you shared so much value with us here today. And I guess as we're starting to wrap up, what one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs or now megapreneurs watching and listening today?
Gosh, I've got a tool belt of things. Here's what I would say. I would say this. For everybody listening, wherever you are right now, there's a couple things I want to say. One of them is, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. It's never, ever, ever, ever too late. And with technology and the way things are, you can go further faster than in any time in history. So start. And then the other thing is, if I was to say start anything, and that is to harness these 2 things. Number 1, learn the skill of getting over it quicker. And as you guys learned at the A Factor, it's one of the things we do. I told you guys, bring me your worst nightmare. And you know that because that, when I say your worst nightmare, it's something that people, whether it's a fear or a phobia or it's something that somebody said to you or whatever, your doubts about yourself, bring it. Because there's a skill, as you know, we call it the stop technique, that you won't be able to feel that anymore. And it's something that you do. Train yourself to snap out of it, not just snap out of it, replace it with something that causes you to default to your absolute best. And then the third thing is, again, this is part of don't go it alone. Put yourself in a situation where you're learning, where you're always close to the fire. We always, a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs and achievers and things like that, is grind. I got to do it on my own. There's nobody, nobody's going to do it unless I do it. Get rid of that. Dispel that belief. Do it with people. Be around people that you can learn. I got to be honest with you. I may sound like I know a lot of stuff, and maybe I do, but I didn't make it all up. I learned it from my mentors. I learned it from other people as well. So keep yourself around it. Keep yourself around learning the skills of not only doing it for yourself, but doing it for other people as well. And you will become invaluable in the marketplace.
Yeah, I love that. What amazing points there to share. And yeah, we connected, at your events where I learned about your awesome journey from, being a neuropsychologist to now being the ultimate performance specialist. We developed, the brain science system known as neuroencoding. You're an awesome guy. Your energy is infectious when you're on stage. It's amazing how, you attract, magnetize people and just, move people to take action and enjoy themselves at the events. And you've had a big impact on me at Unleash the Power Within and A Factor events.
Let me jump in on you just for a second, because let me sing your praises for a second. You did something that nobody else in the event did, and it's why we're here right now. You stood up and you asked. You actually put in play what we were working. You stood up and asked, and because you asked, that's why we're here right now. Out of everybody, there was what, 300-400 people there at that event, and out of everybody there, a ton of people have podcasts and would want to interview, but you stood up and asked, and because you did, you magnetized it, man. And so kudos to you for doing it, and kudos to you for what you're doing, because this podcast and what you do for other people, this is giving in such a way. I always say one little nugget, one little thing you could have said, or one little thing that you could have interviewed somebody to say could change their life. And so kudos to you for what you're doing, and please keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joseph. Much appreciated. Like you said, you can get a no, but most of the time you're probably going to get a yes if you do it in the right way when you ask for people. So I love that, and I'm sure you will continue to help people be, default to their very best, like you said. And very grateful that we connected. Look forward to partnering together as well. So Joseph, how can people find you online and get to know more about what you're doing?
Well, you can go to my website, which is my name, josephmcclendon.com. Or, of course, there's Instagram. I'm trying to post every day now. Just again, sharing the wisdom. And that is, I am, and my name, Joseph McClendon. Or you can visit us. If anybody out there is interested in being a speaker or being a coach and taking it to the next level, whether you are already, whether you want to do it for other people, you want to do it for yourself. One of the things that, and it came about with COVID, and that is I got some time to step back and go, because people ask me all the time, Joseph, how do I do what you do? How do I do what you do? How can I be a coach? How can I be a speaker? And those kind of things. And I took everything that I know, and I've got, my formal education, I've got certifications in hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming, all that stuff, but I don't use all that stuff. People hire me, if you will, to coach them. Again, not because I'm so cute, it's because I get results. And so it's a different type of coaching. So we teach that. It's something called the Neuroencoding Institute. And neuroencoding is, you mentioned this before, it is the process, because it's process, not knowledge, the process of being able to program oneself and others so that they automatically default to their best think, feel, do, have. And so that's what we teach. It's a certification course, and it's the thing that I'm the most proud of, because now we have people all over the world that are neuroencoding specialists, and they've made careers out of it now. And so if you're interested in that, go to neuroencoding.com, and we'd love to have you as part of our family. Because lastly, I'll say this: those of us that dare to dream while the rest of the world is having a nightmare, we're not only going to create the abundance that we want for ourselves, but the greatest part about it is that we're going to be shining examples for other people. So people can look at us, look at you and go, well, they did it, I can do it as well. And there's not a person on the planet that does not love and enjoy helping other people. And so if I can be a part of that and help you do that, then I'd be honored to do that.
Yeah, love that. So true, Joseph. Definitely check out Joseph there, the website, the Instagram, Neuroencoding website as well. You want to get involved, be a coach, be a speaker, and make a massive impact like Joseph has. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, mate, and thanks for being on the Business Growth Show.
It is my absolute pleasure, and thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. If you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way you know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results.